We begin the news by telling you that the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has won all 25 local government areas in yesterday's local government election held in Delta State, South Nigeria. All results announced by the chairman of the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission at the head office in Asaba said the Allied People's Movement won Ward 1 councillorship seat in Oshimili North local government area of the state out of the 500 political wards across the state. Our correspondent Austin Azu reports that all the council chairman-elect and vice have received a certificate of return from the commission. And for updates on this, I am joined by our correspondent.
The Delta State Independent Electoral Commission headquarters in Asaba became the beehive of activities for both politicians and commission immediately after the voting of local government elections ended yesterday across the 25 local government areas.
I'm delighted to inform you that the results of the local government elections that took place yesterday, some of the results are filtered in, and we're going to announce the results straight away.
The various returning officers for the exercise took turns to announce the various local government results before the commission.
Of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, having scored the majority of 37,808, that is 37,808 votes, hereby declared the winner of the election and returned.
While announcing the final results, the chairman of the commission said there was no election in Udu local government area as the chairmanship candidates of the PDP returned unopposed. The district boss further revealed that PDP councillorship candidates won 499 electoral wards out of the 500, while the Ireland People's Movement won Ward 1 in Oshimili North local government area.
And the executive summary is that the chairmanship candidate of the People's Democratic Party contested and won in 24 local government councils of the state in the July 13, 2024 elections. However, the chairmanship candidate of the PDP in the Udu local government area was returned unopposed.
The elected local government chairman and vice were presented with certificates of return.
I feel so honored. I received not just for myself, but on behalf of the entire Aniocha South local government. I will do better than what I did in the first tenure. I will do more by the grace of God.
By the special grace of God, I believe any money that is accrued to the local government will be used judiciously to make sure we execute projects.
We have promised the good people of Warri South that there is going to be growth and development, there's going to be rural transformation, there's going to be agricultural revolution, there's going to be commerce and industrialization, and of course there's going to be enhanced peace and security.
The 25 elected chairman and vice will be sworn in tomorrow, Monday, 15th July 2024, in a ceremony which will be presided over by the state governor, Sheriff Oborewori, in Asaba. In Asaba, for News Central, Austin Azu.
And for more on this, I am joined by our correspondent, and that's Austin Azu. Austin, good morning. Glad to have you join me. Austin, if you can hear me, Austin, how would you describe the conduct of these local government elections?
Well, first and foremost, the local government elections that was held on Saturday, 13th July, seems to be very peaceful across the 25 local government areas in Delta State here. Security personnel were much on the ground. Observers were equally much on the ground. So at the end of the exercise, there was no casualty recorded. There was no issue of destruction of ballot boxes or whatever that might have a temper with the smooth run of the elections. More also, the collation process that began from the unit level down to the ward level and down to the local government level was equally peaceful. And before yesterday, that we had some pockets of units that we are unable to get voting materials. We didn't see any of them coming to the DSEC office to come and register their grievances. So the process went smoothly across the state, and the coalition thereafter the declaration of the results at the DSEC office yesterday.
Now, we understand that PDP won all 25 local government areas. What's your assessment? Will you say people actually came out and vote, or do you sense nominations by the state government?
Well, first and foremost, don't forget to that on that very day, there was a heavy downpour that marked the process early in the morning, but thereafter we had some people who came out to vote. The polling unit we visited, we saw some people, not compared to the general elections that you have a large number of people who came out to vote, apart from the polling units of the governor at Osubi in Ope local government area, where you have a lot of persons on the queue. Other polling units we went to, they were quite scanty. Some places we equally went to, before we arrived there, before around 1 p.m., they have finished their voting exercise already. So the turnout was very, very low compared to the general elections.
Follow up on the Supreme Court judgment last week regarding financial autonomy of local governments in Nigeria. Do you see this financial autonomy taking full effect in Delta State?
From what the governor said on Saturday when he spoke to newsmen, he confidently said that he has been able to save some money awaiting when the new council chairman will take over their offices. So there's huge, there's confidence in the process that is going to be more effective here in the state, because now that we have the elected local government chairmen who are going to take over office from today, there's so much expectations that their money that is accruable to them will go directly into the local government coffers.
In terms of what you perceive, Austin, how are people reacting to the victory of PDP in all the 25 local government areas in Delta State?
It seems there's a lot of excitement on the air already, because they have prided themselves to be that the state is PDP state. So everywhere we went to, there's quite a lot of jubilation that yes, they have done it back to back, and that Delta State is kind of setting up a record. And they equally allude to the fact that after the Supreme Court judgment on financial autonomy,
Okay, since we lost connection with our correspondent, Austin Azubo. Thank you so much, Austin, for your insight on that. And still on local government elections, the chairman of the Adamawa State Independent Electoral Commission has revealed that the PDP, People's Democratic Party, has swept the entire chairmanship position at the just concluded Adamawa State local government elections. He says the PDP secured a 100% victory in 21 local government chairmanship positions across the state, and also 225 out of 226 councillorship seats available. He also adds that the winners will be presented their certificate of return on Monday, July the 15th.
The chairmanship election, the People's Democratic Party has won all the 21 seats as declared at the local government council yesterday. As for the councillorship, the 226 councillorship, PDP won 225 councillorship seats. NNPC won one in Demsa local government council. So far that's the result we have.
And now to business-related story. Amidst the rising inflation and economic conditions of the country, President Bola Tinubu has called for calm among Nigerians amidst the short-term measures recently taken to address rising food prices. The president, who was represented by his vice, Kashim Shettima, revealed these at the book launch of the former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, in Lagos State. Our correspondent, Adeshewa Odushoga, tells us more.
It was a gathering of dignitaries from Nigeria's political class in honor of the former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, in celebration of his 85th birthday and the launch of his book titled My Life in the Public Eye. The event, which was held in Lagos, Nigeria, had in attendance the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, the Senate President, Senator Godwin Akpabio, former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, former Governor of Delta State, James Ibori, state governors, which also include the Lagos State Deputy Governor, state governors, among others. While speaking at the event, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu, vowed that his administration would address food insecurity in the country and drive down the cost of living for the citizens.
As we work to overcome our current challenges, we must remember that unity and cooperation are essential. Our people must support our administration's efforts to create better living conditions for all.
I'm sure today you are delighted that you are alive to see the renewed hope agenda for this country. And in your lifetime, the hope of Nigeria will not be betrayed.
Other dignitaries at the event took turns to laud the notable contributions of the former governor and celebrant Olusegun Oshoba.
Dual way of mentoring people like us. On behalf of myself and my entire family, our leader, Olusegun Oshoba, Aremo, I thank you, I wish you very well, and God will continue to bless you.
This is a great day, and I must be here to celebrate your 85th birthday, and I wish you all the very, very best.
I wanted to say this to you in private, but maybe I should say it in public. I think, sir, your generation also needs to help the new or the younger generation of journalists.
The event also featured Deputy Senate President, Senator Barau Jibrin, Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Gboyega Oyetola, former governors of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi and Niyi Adebayo, and former Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Segun Adeshegun, among others. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshewa Odushoga.
The Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Refinery, Aliko Dangote, revealed that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited no longer owns a 20% stake in Dangote Refinery. Dangote disclosed this during the press briefing at the refinery on Sunday. The business mogul revealed that the Nigerian oil company now owns only 7.2% of the refinery due to NNPC's failure to pay the balance of their share, which was due last month in June. It states that while NNPC had promised to provide the fund, it has been unable to meet its obligation, thus reducing its stake in the $19 billion refinery to 7.2%. Away from that, the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ola Olukayode, has said that the war against corruption cannot be won without integrity, describing corruption as a lack of integrity. The EFCC boss spoke at the Lagos Leadership Conference, an annual international leadership platform which brought together leaders from all segments of society to share ideas and get fresh insight from within and outside Nigeria. Olukayode, who boasted that the first thing he did when he was appointed was to declare his assets publicly, and also asked those working under him to do same. He said the commission is now looking into the activities of regulatory agencies, as some of them are more corrupt than public office holders.
Where you'll be able to say one person has gone to prison. We find it difficult to make that happen. What is it that makes it impossible? Because I cited a case of a former president who said when you fight corruption, it fights back. So help us understand, and then we'll take 2 questions and we can let you go, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Akintebi. You know, in this country, even while I was Chief of Staff Secretary, we have had cause to convict ex-governors. Maybe you have forgotten. True. Even though they were given pardon at the end of the day, when we convicted them, we have had cause to convict ministers. We have had cause to convict judges. We have had cause to convict a senior advocate of Nigeria in EFCC. So I can tell you, give you a list of what we have done. But you see, it goes back to our society again. The same people that we have found culpable, convicted, some of them have come back to where we investigated them. We felt, they did something wrong. They were reinstated, they were pardoned, and all of that. And for us, even that should be a disincentive. But again, we are not going to give up. Making our leaders do the right thing lies in your hand and in my hand. Trust me. Because if we are saying leaders, what about the followers? There is a way followers can make leaders sit up. When we refuse to tolerate the wrongdoings on part of the leaders, a time will come when they will say, look, we better be serious. These guys know what they are doing. That's why I said there should be engagement. So when look, whatever we do here, whatever we say, back and forth, we still come back to the point I've made. Let us have engagement. Let us sit down whether you actually need Nigeria or not. Well, let us sit down and agree. Are we ready to move forward? So if we do that, if there's an engagement, you play your part, I will play my part, you will know your duty, I will know my duty, every one of us, because everybody has a role to play. It's not only the people in public sector. We are very quick to abuse president, abuse governors, abuse all of them. But I'm telling you, I'm seeing worse things in the private sector.
Residents of Sajari community in Jere local government area of Borno State are celebrating the completion of a significant project initiated by National Youth Service Corps member Zainab Yetunde Adams. Moved by community's struggle to access clean water, the Corps member Zainab facilitated the construction of a borehole in the area. Our correspondent Umaru Kirawa throws more light.
It used to be an everyday affair for most families in Sajeri to trek of miles in search of water for both human and animal consumption. This water project, initiated by one of Nigeria's core members, Zainab Yetunde Adam, brings relief to the community's long-standing challenge to obtain potable water.
Yake sai turbi 1,700 to yanayin rayuwa yana ba mu wahala sosai fa wallahi to wannan taimako da ta zo ta mana Zainab ba abin da zamu ce mata sai dai Allah ya saka mata Allah biya ta mafificin shi wallahi muna cikin tsaka mu sai mun tura yaran mu bare mu wataran ma yara na kaman kan mata ne ma zalla sai mun tura su uwa duniya tukuna su ce su nemo mana ruwa
Allah ubangiji kuma ya saka mata Allah ya ba ta karfi fiye da haka.
Local leaders and community members have expressed profound gratitude to Zainab Adam for her dedication and humanity.
Akwai mutum daya biyu yan kwamitin mun sa su akan bohol da za su kula insha Allah.
We can also mobilize another core members maybe to identify another site like the Bilama said they need more school in this community, so we can look for another core member who can take a personal community project to this community.
I will encourage more core members to carry on such activities which will better the lives of our host community.
The borehole's completion marks a happy moment for the community, significantly improving the residents' daily lives and access to essential resources.
They have like trek miles, and this in turn affects children's school age pupils, because if they have to go to school in the morning, they need to trek miles to get water. And in fact, that water that they're going to get, they're going to buy it at 15 naira per bucket. So imagine, is that the one bucket that they used to cook, they used to bath, they used to wash themselves, use the toilet, wash their uniforms, and we want the society to continue to develop and be clean and healthy. So definitely, that's why I came up with this. And I might be the one that initiated this project, but I don't see myself as owning the project because it's a community thing, it's a collaborative thing, I source the money from people.
Women of Sajeri community smile amidst the cheers as they were supported with grants. The point here is that no effort is little for community development, as it is never too late for well-meaning individuals and organizations to also contribute their efforts for sustainable growth. In Jere for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
You're watching News Central TV. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, Zubeida Umar, said the agency will do everything within its powers to assist victims of Saint Academy building collapse in Jos area of Plateau State. Zubeida Omar was speaking in Jos on Sunday after she paid visit to the victims in the hospital as well as the scene of the incident that occurred on Friday. She also paid a courtesy call to the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mofwang, to commiserate with him on the tragedy that befell the state. Our correspondent Chizoba Anyanwi was there and tells us more.
It is the third day of this sad incident, which took the lives of 22 students of Science Academy while they were writing their last examination for the session. The Director General of NEMA was in Jos on Sunday to see for herself the extent of damage in the school and how victims of the incident are coping in the various health facilities where they are receiving treatment. She is convinced that synergy among sister agencies will provide succor for these victims while they develop means to avert future occurrences.
What we have done today is to take a rapid assessment. Once we get back, we're going to have the report, and then we'll know how NEMA can come in terms of intervention, be it medicals, be it food, for example. NEMA is there to assist in any way. I commended the State Emergency Management Agency earlier on, and this is what we want to see from states. We need more of what we have seen in Plateau State. As I always say, disaster is local. You need community resilience, you need involvement of each and every person. NEMA comes in where the SEMA is unable to meet up, and that is the whole purpose. And what we've seen on display today is the perfect synergy between NEMA and SEMA, and that was how we're able to limit the damage, as you can see.
For Governor Caleb Mofwang, the government of Plateau will not rest on its oars until civility is restored among citizens.
We must go into the proactive mode rather than reactive mode. We must be seen to be doing things that should put sanity and order. We must bring civility into our communities. And so, for starters, we are setting up a very high-powered committee to investigate this particular incident. And we will proceed from there to also ensure that our Ministry of Secondary Education is up and running. The Inspectorate Department runs a quick check on all the private schools for starters, because that is where there is a likelihood of breach. But we'll also run it on the public schools as well.
While the government continues to work out modalities to prevent such disasters, plans are underway to strengthen institutional capacity for a more organized society. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyanwi.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's Borno state are calling for inclusive education policies to be implemented across the state to hasten post-insurgency recovery. The stakeholders emphasized the need to make educational infrastructure more accessible for persons with disability during a town hall meeting on anti-corruption and promotion of good governance organized by Wadata Media and Advocacy Center with support from MacArthur Foundation in Maiduguri. Umaru Kirawa throws more lights.
Inclusive education to enable all citizens to contribute meaningfully to society is what this multi-stakeholders engagement focuses on. Key recommendations include community, civil society and other stakeholders engagement in monitoring and evaluation as well as oversight of educational services to ensure inclusivity and accountability.
Kasan gwamnati yana kula da masu bukata na musamman, gaskiya yayi kokari. Su wannan ya kamata in dai za a yi a gama makarantar lafiya kar a karba ko sisi kowane makaranta in yaro na masu bukata na musamman. Ba university a Borno State wanda zai je makabo ya yi karatu ko kurma ya yi karatu. A state university ya kamata a bude wajen makafi da guragu da kurame.
If you go to post office in the morning, you will see girls. They will brought them with a jagger or napep, dump them there, just going roaming about, begging for alms. But these girls, if you train them, you are training a nation because they will be mothers tomorrow. And a mother is always a teacher.
They should be encouraged to go to school.
so long as we want Borno to bounce back to its former position.
Educators, community leaders, civil society representatives, and journalists also shared their views on how to improve the educational system.
We have seen in many countries whereby as a result of hardship and some assaulting economic policies has made the youth to throng into the streets. Kenya is a good example. We are not praying that this will happen in Nigeria, but if things is not taken into consideration, Nigeria will fall into the prey of these angry youths who are living in hunger, lack of education, and employment.
Updating curriculum frameworks to reflect diverse cultural perspectives and providing continued specialized training for teachers to support inclusive classrooms is said to be critical. They urged policymakers and school administrators to prioritize these measures to create an inclusive educational landscape where every student can thrive. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Stakeholders from Nigeria's extractive sector have condemned the attack on inclusion of host communities by many mining companies in the country. And this was during a roundtable on solid minerals exploitation in the country, where they say many host communities are denied physical justice as mining companies exploit their minerals without due regard to environmental laws. Amadine Oyi tells us more.
It was a gathering of stakeholders from the extractive sector as they convened on Abuja to review the state of Nigeria's mining sector. The roundtable on solid minerals exploitation was organized by international rights organization, the Global Rights, as stakeholders present x-rayed the effects of mining on host communities, especially the lack of inclusion and fiscal justice.
This meeting, as you may know, is the seventh in a path of dialogue starting all the way back since 2016. And is aimed at strengthening and increasing engagement between civil society actors and the government on solid mineral governance in Nigeria. And as one of its hallmark, engaged oversight institutions tasked with fostering transparency and fiscal justice in Nigeria.
The roundtable today is to bring stakeholders together to look at what we mean by fiscal justice, financial inclusion, a financial benefit that arrives from the revenues from the solid mineral sector that we go around to all beneficiaries within the system.
They say mining host communities have continued to bear the brunt of mining activities, which destroys their livelihoods and puts their health at risk.
Mining host communities inordinately bear the burden of the resource costs with seemingly little or no benefits from the wealth that is harnessed in their vicinity. And all across our countries, this story is told. In Plateau State, in Kaduna State, in Zamfara State, in Jigawa State.
How much of our extractive industry contributes to the GDP of our colonial masters? How much does the gold from my land and the lithium from Kogi and the oil from Ogoniland, how much does it contribute to the GDP of England, of America, and now by extension, the Asian tigers of India, of China, and lately even of the Middle East?
The stakeholders say they are confident that mistakes made in the mining sector can be corrected through collaboration.
Oil is going, it will soon be gone. What we have now is solid mineral. So this is the right time for us to sit down and really set the right laws, the right template.
The host communities, those that God have endowed with these materials, should get the full benefit for these materials, because they are the ones that are going to pay the price at the end of the day. They are going to be left with environmental challenges. We shouldn't forget in a hurry what happened in Zamfara when with the poisoning. We shouldn't forget what has just happened in Niger State. As was said, there are 50 people are already dead.
The stakeholders are calling for reforms and an amendment of the nation's mining laws to ensure that host communities are not deprived of their rights. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have uncovered parcels of cocaine hidden in the soles of shoes bound for Europe. The agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, who disclosed this in a statement on Sunday, shared videos of the seized contraband, saying tramadol pills were found concealed in custard containers in separate discovery. He warned travelers to be cautious when accepting luggage or items from others to deliver, as they may be unaware of the content. While no less than 250 grams of cocaine going to Cyprus was hidden in soles of custom-made shoes, over 5 kilograms of opioids heading to the US and UK were discovered by NDLEA officers of Directorate of Operations and General Investigations in clothes and other household items meant to be shipped through some courier firms in Lagos State. Thank you for staying tuned. The news continues in East Africa, where the death toll from a blast at a cafe in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, has climbed to 9 after a car bomb struck the venue packed with football fans watching the Euro 2024 final. An official from the National Security Agency, Mohammed Yusuf, said 9 civilians were killed and 20 others were wounded in the explosion. Huge fireball and plume of smoke billowed into the night sky as explosion ripped through the popular restaurant in the center of the city on Sunday. Police officer Mohammed Salat got to the scene a few minutes after the blast and saw several bodies were discovered under the debris. Polling stations opened across Rwanda for presidential and parliamentary election, with the African nation's leader, Paul Kagame, set for victory and extend his iron fist rule for another 5 years. Rwanda's de facto leader since the end of 1994 genocide and president since 2000, Kagame faces only 2 challenges after several prominent critics were barred from standing. The lineup is same as last election in 2017, when Kagame obliterated his rivals with almost 99% of the vote, and there is little doubt about the outcome of this year. Leader of the Democratic Green Party, Frank Habineza, and independent Felipe Mpayimina were the only 2 candidates approved to run against Kagame out of 8 applicants. When I head to Southern Africa, where Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa on Sunday launched a long-awaited process of reconciliation over notorious 1980s massacres by government troops that claimed tens of thousands of lives. Survivors will be interviewed in a series of hearings opening the way for possible compensation in a bid to settle long-standing grievances and tensions. The so-called Gukurahindi massacres took place a few years after Zimbabwe's independence from Britain, as former leader Robert Mugabe asserted his power. Starting in 1983, Mugabe deployed an elite North Korean trained army unit to crack down on revolt in Bulawayo's western Matabelele land region, the heartland of the Ndebele majority. And this killed several people over the years, according to the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace in Zimbabwe, a toll supported by Amnesty International. U.S. President Joe Biden says politics shouldn't be a killing field after an assassination attempt targeted Donald Trump on Saturday. Biden went on to describe the coming election as a time of testing. And Trump was wounded in the ear after a gunman opened fire at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1 person was killed and 2 more were critically injured in the attack.
Politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election we make in this election is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work.
America's House Speaker Mike Johnson has condemned and described the shooting at Donald Trump's rally as a horrific act of political violence. The gunman who opened fire at Donald Trump rally is said to have explosive in his car. The explosive materials were found on a car belonging to shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks, which reportedly packed near the campaign event venue in Butler, Pennsylvania. Investigators are still probing the attempted assassination of the Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump.
It is. America awakens to a rather surreal morning. This is a horrific act of political violence that ought to be roundly condemned. Obviously, we can't go on like this as a society. You know, our prayers are with the rhetoric has just been over the top. It really has. I mean, there's no figure in American history, at least in the modern era, maybe since Lincoln, who's been so vilified and really persecuted by media and, you know, Hollywood elites, political figures, you know, even the legal system. And
the Venezuelan opposition has announced repression against them by the ruling Chavismo with a new arrest of activists 2 weeks before the presidential election on July 28. At least 9 people have been detained in 4 states across the country, according to the campaign team. Another 14 were already detained by intelligence services, and 6 others are sheltered in the Argentine embassy in Caracas. Among those arrested is the owner of the truck that served as a platform for a rally by Gonzalez and Machado in Valencia.
Lo que está pasando en Venezuela, todos sabemos que es histórico. Lo que ya pasó en Venezuela es histórico. Esta tiranía ya la derrotamos. Ya la en los corazones y en las calles. Y si no, vean esto que está pasando aquí.
Fueron 5 personas en concreto, 5 damas, 5 mujeres, que se llaman Texalia Vaquero Rojas. Esta ciudadana, con cédula de identidad 18.537.067, es diputada al Consejo Legislativo del Estado Aragua. Son personas que están directa e indirectamente vinculadas a funcionarios públicos municipales y a funcionarios electos por los aragüeños en el Consejo Legislativo Estatal. Esto es delicado porque estamos hablando de funcionarios públicos que reciben órdenes de violentar a personas que, como nuestro candidato Edmundo González Urrutia y nuestra líder, están simplemente ejerciendo su derecho político en un momento en que el país ha sido formalmente declarado.
And for business news, let's connect with the business desk for today's stories.
News continues in East Africa, where Kenya's police chief, Japhet Koome, has resigned following sharp criticism over anti-government protests that left dozens of people dead. The presidency revealed this on Friday, describing it as the latest head to roll in the wake of the demonstrations. On Thursday, Ruto dismissed all cabinet ministers, including the Attorney General, with the exception of the Foreign Minister and Deputy President. But the move appeared to do little to appease young Kenyans who warned that they would resume street protest unless Ruto himself steps down.
Business news. Kenya's shilling weakened on Friday due to increased demand for dollars from general goods importers, while inflows from non-governmental organizations cushioned it from easing further. This is according to traders. Earlier, commercial banks quoted the Kenyan shilling at 128.75 to 129.75 per dollar, compared with Thursday's closing rate of 128.50 to 129.50. Traders said there was no immediate reaction to President William Ruto dismissing all but one of his ministers on Thursday, yielding to one of the demands from nationwide protests that have created the biggest crisis of his 2-year presidency. Zambia's proposed regulation that could impose 10-year jail terms for using foreign currency in local transactions have raised questions and criticism from local businesses in what could be a crucial test of President Hakainde Hichilema's pro-investment government. Companies argue the new rules would hurt growth and investment while fueling the inflation they are meant to contain. Hichilema, who won power in 2021, campaigned on pro-business reforms and has so far mostly won praise from investors. He has navigated a complex debt restructuring process and is this year having to deal with the fallout of the worst drought in decades. Political pressure has grown, with annual inflation surging to 15.2% and power cuts lasting more than 12 hours daily due to the dry spell's impact on hydropower plants. And finally, in North Africa, Egypt is aiming to establish an asset liquidation committee under the Ministry of Finance with the goal of generating 20 to 25 billion Egyptian pounds annually for the state treasury from divestment proceeds over the coming years, according to the government's new 3-year plan. As previously stated by former Finance Minister Mohamed Mate in press statements, the government had divested state-owned assets worth about $5.6 billion 2 years ago, since launching the initial public offerings program in March 2023. According to a previous ministerial statement, he added that the government is targeting revenues of up to $6.5 billion from the government IPO program by the end of 2024.
In sport, Nigeria's tennis team will aim to seek promotion to Euro Africa Group 2 as the Davis Cup Africa Group 3 qualifiers begin in Abuja. The Davis Cup, often referred to as the World Cup of Tennis, presents a significant opportunity for Nigeria to return to mainstream tennis. Team Nigeria will compete against Zimbabwe, Benin, Namibia, Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana for World Group 2 ticket. 3 teams have a chance to gain promotion, while 2 will be relegated and 1 will remain in Group 3. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja ahead of the tournament, Nigeria Tennis Federation President Dayo Akindoju states that preparations is in top gear for the success of the event. The Nigerian team, led by coach Benson, includes Daniel Adeleye, Christopher Bulos, Wilson Igbinovia, Michael Emmanuel and Uche Baraoche. They will be striving to secure one of the 3 promotion tickets from the group. The International Olympic Committee has announced that it has partnered with the National Olympic Committee of Saudi Arabia to host the inaugural Olympic Exports Games 2025 in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, this groundbreaking steps follows the IOC's recent announcement that the IOC Executive Board has established Olympic Exports Games. Proposal for the collaboration between both Olympic committees will be made to the IOC session, which will be held on the eve of the Olympic Games Paris 2024. The duration of the partnership between the IOC and the Saudi NOC will be 12 years, with Olympic Exports Games held regularly. Meanwhile, the IOC has emphasized that international federation have already engaged in an e-version of the sport that is considered for inclusion in the Olympic Export Games and will be the IOC's first go-to partners. And Spain defeated England 2-1 to clinch the Euro 2024 trophy on Sunday. Goals from substitute Michael Oyarzabal and Nico Williams cancelled out Cole Palmer's 73rd minute equalizer as La Roja clinched the record 4th European Championship crown and the 3rd in the last 5 editions. England, who had hoped to claim the first men's international title since their victory at the 1966 World Cup, fell just short in their first ever final on foreign soil. Meanwhile, England captain Harry Kane, at the age of 30, still in search of his first trophy of his career after the defeat coming after a season in which he also won nothing with Bayern Munich. And that's all on this. But before you go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited stake in Dangote Refinery drops to 7.2%. Voting on the way in Rwanda as President Kagame set to extend rule. Death toll from Somalia cafe attack climbs to 9. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.